So today's film is Gleason. I'm very excited to say that we have the director, Tweel, who will be back for a Q&A, and some special guests from the film. So you should all stick around for that. And tomorrow, we actually have a whole day at the festival called Shortlist Day. And during that day, we have filmmakers from all the films playing in the shortlist. I think all of them, maybe one is missing, or maybe all of them. But they're all in conversation here also at Cinepolis Chelsea, so grab one of these catalogs and we hope you come back and join us. Now, all I ask is that you reach deep into the purses and pockets. Please turn off all cell phones, put them on vibrate. The only picture we want to see is the one here on the screen. And without further ado, here is Gleason. Enjoy.
So what did you think when you met Clay first?
I thought he was pretty cute, and he's good at ping pong. And those are the two main things I remember.
That's all it takes.
That's what you need, right? Yeah.
Being good at ping pong.
And Michelle, if I can ask you, so this obviously super personal project that you started together with Steve. What was the process like for you to see it grow beyond sort of something that was going to be viewed by your son or by the immediate family into something that obviously is, started at Sundance and it's gone all over since then the rest of this year. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as you said, it started as a project with these two young guys, Steve and I, filming which we thought was going to be a project for Rivers, and so it was never really that big of a deal. These guys came, Steve wanted everything documented. I was like, y'all, as long as you come and help me with Rivers and Steve, I don't care what you film, just help me and it's fine. And so it was just kind of like part of our lives. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the reason why it's so kind of honest and raw, because I had no idea that it would get to this level. I should have thought it because that's how Steve is, but because I didn't, it was just kind of like an everyday thing with cameras on. It was weird at first, but then it just got normal. And then once Clay got involved, I was so engrossed in life that I didn't even care, or I didn't even think about what was going to happen next. We had people in place that I trusted to move to the next level, and we picked Clay. I liked Clay and Seth, and so I was really apprehensive for a long time until maybe up before Sundance happened. And I would look at y'all, but I can't look at this light, just so you know, I'm not looking at you. And so once Sundance almost happened, it came, and I was like, Steve, we're both kind of cautiously optimistic, but also apprehensive. What are we about to do? This is such a personal project. Kind of questioning, should we have kept this forever? Should we make this a big deal? And then going to Sundance, and since Sundance, it has been a really great experience for both of us to hear feedback from people and the way that it's impacting people, and it's been a great journey with different perspectives and people that we've met and people that whose lives are being changed. And since Sundance, it's been a really, really amazing journey.
Absolutely. I have more questions, but I'd love to open it up to questions from the audience. So show your hands, or I can keep going. I'll keep going. Michelle, this is another one for you, and it's in the film. You seem to blossom not only, obviously you've got a lot going on, but you also blossom as an artist. Can you talk a little bit about your artwork and what you've done since the film, since what we see on the film?
So it's something that it's something that's become a huge part of my life and something that I really, really, really love to do. So I was, just doing it, not thinking anything of it, and then I was doodling, and then all of a sudden I was like, God, these look really cool. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then I was talked into bringing some pieces to Sundance. We blew them up big, and I ended up selling 10 pieces, and so it gave me some confidence. And now I just bought a new drafting table, and I'm drawing and selling them, and I love it.
That's fantastic.
It's exciting.
Excellent.
Website.
What's your website?
MichelVarisco.com.
Excellent. Any questions from the audience? All right, I'm going to do another one for Clay, which is, again, not to sort of get too bogged down in the details, but I am curious if you can share how much footage did you work with to get down to this? How many hours were filmed over those several years before you got involved, and then how did it all come together for you? How long did it take?
There was about 1,200 hours of footage captured over the first 3 years, and then we were able to try to sort through that, and between myself and I was editing and a couple other guys, we were able to watch every frame of it, and then try to figure out, as that was happening, as we were watching it, there were still things unfolding in the family's life, so we had to shoot that as they were happening and fly down to New Orleans. And then it became a matter of like the story that we were trying to tell and was trying to be crafted, like where are the holes in that story, and trying to go and get some sit-down interviews. If you guys can tell, it's as much as possible we try to keep it in that sort of very verite, fly-on-the-wall feel. It's like got that good sort of intimate texture to the movie that we didn't want to like all of a sudden pop out too often to these sort of contextual interviews. And so stylistically, we wanted to keep the audience as immersed as possible, but also curate sort of what was happening in the scene if it needed it.
And so I'm curious, you know, obviously when the project started, it was all about Rivers and all about sort of Steve talking as a father to his unborn son. But the film became also about Steve's relationship to his own father and fatherhood in general. And so talk a little bit, I mean, was that something that was already in there? Is that something you brought out in it and shaping it? Like, where did that larger thing come from?
Yeah, I think the fathers and sons theme was something that very early on I thought was going to be a big part of the story. But what I didn't understand, and I think there's certain moments that you see that just sort of coalesce something in your mind and are like, oh, this is a crucial idea. And that for me was the conversation between Steve and his dad about generational sin. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that connected in a really interesting way to this idea of like compensating for the flaws of what you perceive are flaws in the past generation and trying to correct them for the future ones. And I thought that was really relatable in a way that could be a father-son relationship, that could be mother-daughter. It doesn't matter. It's just kind of human to do that. And so that became something that I felt like that sort of intergenerational storyline was embedded in the very foundation of what Steve was doing too. This was his legacy that he's leaving, and it sort of all matched up and came together in a way that I felt like that was a very strong and important sort of point to get across in the movie, and it could help lay out structurally what was going to come.
Right. Questions? I got another one. Okay, I've got another one. So, Michelle, so I'm curious, I mean, it may be in here and it's been, I saw it at Sundance, so it's been a while, but how old is Rivers now?
He just turned 5.
And has he seen this? When do you plan on having him see it? What have you talked about that? I'm assuming you have thought about it.
It's a good question. We've got so much footage, and the guys have actually, it's great. They've got it categorized really well for when we do. I mean, he's 5. There's something that we could probably, you know, when Steve teaches him how to skip rocks, we could show him now. The movie, we pretty much don't tell him. We try not to tell him, but people always bring it up. So I don't know if he's faking that he doesn't know or what.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's something we're gonna have to kind of talk about soon, like what footage we're gonna show. But I don't want him to think that he's in the movie quite yet.
I mean, as the son of a famous person, I mean, he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
he's learning that now.
Right.
It's actually it's a weird thing. He like usually just shies away from the attention, and now he's like liking to get in his dad's lap for pictures. And I was like, oh, I was
Right.
hoping that would not happen, but he has fun with it.
Right. Okay, I will wrap things up soon. You're such a shy crowd. I'm going to ask you one more, which is similarly related to Steve's reaction to the film. Both of you can kind of talk about like how much did Steve see in the process while you were editing it, and finishing the film, and sort of from Sundance and forward, like how many times has he seen it, like how much has he traveled, how much travel is possible at this point, etc.
Sure. We showed Steve and Michelle a few cuts along the way. I felt, honestly, that it was sort of the duty on this project, and as a filmmaker, because the story is so intimate, I didn't want to feel like we were exploiting their vulnerabilities and the openness to which they, allowed the story to be told and the footage that was captured. So it was always trying to make sure that what we were doing and how we were telling the story was not crossing that boundary. So we showed very first cut. It was terrifying, and I think Steve.
I was so nervous for him.
You were nervous for me?
Yeah.
Well,
I was nervous for all of y'all.
I mean, I remember the first thing that Steve said was we were just sitting there, and it was kind of like hushed silence when it went to black, and then he typed out. He just said, dude, that was intense. Like, oh, okay, that's a.
We'll take it.
I'll take that review.
Right.
But yeah, I think, like Michelle said, as we got closer to Sundance, I think it really came together.